The Liangzhu culture, an incredibly ancient, now lost, yet once highly advanced civilization, one which once dwelled on the banks of the Yangtze River Delta in eastern China. The cultural advancements of this civilization have been of archaeological interest for a number of decades, particularly due to its similarity with the growth of our own modern civilization, throwing mystery onto how this once flourishing class-driven civilization suddenly vanished. Burials were often found to have been practiced to different standards. This depended on the financial assets of the individual's family. However, nearly the entire span of this monstrous ancient civilization's ruins lay stratified. Academia has been kept busy documenting their pottery techniques and the mastery they possessed in the manipulation of jade. Yet why they simply vanished some 4,000 years ago, after flourishing unabated from 5,300 years ago, has remained a thorn in their sides, one they were seemingly unable to explain without the partial admittance of an ancient great flood, a reality which it seems they have finally surrendered to. The investigations of this ancient civilization, although not widely known outside of China, have revealed that the civilization shows all the hallmarks of the other advanced global civilizations we have been researching worldwide, most probably linked, we feel. Canal manipulation for irrigation, advanced agriculture, and many other forms of evidence, including advanced plumbing and sewage systems, all lead us to this conclusion. Quote, "Yet regardless of this single innovative millennium, the Liangzhu culture mysteriously collapsed around 4,300 years ago, and the ancient city was abruptly abandoned. Exactly why has never been fully understood, although many have suggested some form of catastrophic flooding led to the sudden decline. A thin layer of clay was found on the preserved ruins, which points to a possible connection between the demise of the advanced civilization and floods of the Yangtze River or floods from the East China Sea. Geologist Christoph Sprudel from the University of Innsbruck in Austria has finally admitted. We find such conclusions, and indeed the ruins in which they were enveloped, highly compelling."
Since the beginning of time, man has searched for different and more exotic materials for use with the pigments used in their art. From simple cave paintings many tens of thousands of years ago to the perfection seen from masters during the Renaissance, none have ever been as interesting as our next artifact. Known as Han Purple, it has been found on relics dating back 3,000 years. Used in wall paintings, on the terracotta warriors, ceramics, metalwares, and jewelry, the pigment found its way into many ancient Chinese art, and amazingly, this intriguing pigment is a technological wonder. It was such an enigma, made through such a complex process using many different materials in precise proportions, and then heating the mixtures to incredible temperatures. Researchers at the British Museum have discovered that when the pigment is exposed to an LED light source, Han Purple pigment will emit a powerful ray of light in near-infrared. According to their study, published in the journal Analytical and Bioanalytical Chemistry, the Han Purple pigments show up with startling clarity when under the right conditions, meaning that even faint traces of the color which are invisible to the naked eye can be seen with infrared sensors. A complex pigment clearly developed for complex applications. Unlike natural dyes found within antiquity, which are organic compounds, Han Purple is a synthetic pigment made from inorganic materials. Scientist Elizabeth Fitzhugh, a conservator at the Smithsonian, was the first to identify the complex synthetic compound that makes up Han Purple, including a barium copper silicate. How these ancient people acquired such knowledge is clearly a question which needs to be answered. And although many people often scoff at ancient alien theories, quantum physicists from Stanford, Los Alamos National Laboratory, and the Institute for Solid-State Physics of Tokyo have reported that when Han Purple is exposed to extreme cold and a high magnetic field, the chemical structure of the pigment enters a new state called the quantum critical point, in which three-dimensional materials loses a dimension. we have shown for the first time that the collective behavior in a bulk three-dimensional material can actually occur in just two dimensions. Ian Fisher, an assistant professor of applied physics at Stanford, said in the Stanford report. The researchers have said that the discovery may help understand the required properties of new materials, including more exotic superconductors. Was this marvelous pigment a gift from somewhere else? We find the evidence to be highly compelling.
The Terracotta Army, undoubtedly one of the most remarkable archaeological discoveries of modern times. It is a stone army that so far consists of over 8,000 individually detailed warriors, 700 uniquely carved horses, along with 130 chariots. What makes this feat, and indeed the ancient site, so astonishing, apart from the clear, incredible precision, delicacy, and artistic prowess of their creators, is the incredibly advanced technologies found to litter the army and the possible tomb. A supposed tomb with what we suspect is a mystery inhabitant, which, according to academia, this army was created to guard and carry over with into the afterlife. It is claimed that it is the burial of the first ever emperor of China, known as Qin Shi Huang. And although academia has concluded that these ancient soldiers were created during this well-studied, more modern emperor's reign, we feel, due to the numerous mysterious factors attached to these miraculous artworks, in which we are about to convey, strongly suggests that not only was this accomplishment far out of the reach of these well-studied recent ancestors, but are indicative.
Hello to whoever is watching. Thank you for watching.
Of lost civilization, which we have on our channel been searching so long to unearth and lay eyes upon. Firstly, the warriors themselves were all created to represent an individual, painted with incredibly precise lifelike colors, which included a pigment known as Han purple, a pigment so advanced chemists were unable to replicate it until 1992. After it was successfully recreated, it was discovered that it eliminates an entire visual dimension, making waves in 2 dimensions. What's more, most intriguing is the fact that although academia claims each soldier was a precise recreation of an individual subject, each warrior is around 2 meters tall. A height factor we have long postulated was a common reality far back within antiquity. The metallurgy is another smoking gun. Swords unearthed in the pits were, regardless of their tremendous age, still sharp, showing no signs of rust and still appearing new and shiny. All masterfully crafted, and according to tests of their surfaces, underwent an oxidation treatment with chromic salts. However, based on historical literature, another advanced technology which was not invented by modern man until 1937. Furthermore, supporting our posit that these warriors are not dated from an era 2,000 years ago, but used as this culture's inspiration, is the fact that regardless of the incredible discovery, no excavation of the purported tomb at the site, claimed by academia as the actual purpose for the incredible array of stone warriors, the Chinese government blocks all attempts to investigate the tomb. We feel this is likely due to the incredibly strong evidence of advanced technologies already publicly shared. Discovered at the entrance to this mysterious lair, like a scene from Indiana Jones, is booby trap mechanisms involving advanced crossbows, loaded with venom-tipped arrows, still in situ within the walls of the entrance, torque bows which were clearly created by a far more advanced people than we are currently being led to believe. According to academia, who has put forth a claim we feel is an attempt to impress and stifle further inquisition, these masterfully carved warriors were apparently created by over 700,000 men over a period of more than 20 years. Yet, as any artistically talented person will tell you, especially a sculptor, these warriors were not created by the hands of untrained slaves, who were ordered to chisel them out from the notoriously fragile terracotta. These warriors were undoubtedly created by individuals of tremendous talent and ability. If one requires further supportive evidence for this obvious hypothesis, a second terracotta army found within Western Han is far more realistic to the era, crudely created, and of a tiny scale. We feel these warriors are clear evidence of the actual capabilities of this dynasty's inhabitants, and also, we feel, a clear indication that these initial emperors had indeed discovered the original life-size warriors at some point within antiquity, undoubtedly attempting to copy their advanced technologies, kickstarting their success in combat, especially armoring techniques, thus giving academia convenient factors from these recent ancestors to support their attempts to link and claim these remarkable statues as modern creations. This, regardless of the astonishing technological prowess which these 10,000-strong artistic masterpieces were drenched in. Deciding to ignore such controversial facts in favor of conclusive assumption, which once gained them extensive public faith in their ongoing, severe, selective research syndrome. Before Chinese censorship of the site had become a complete quarantine, modern archaeologists had intriguingly found tremendous amounts of mercury, a difficult element to have acquired in mass 2,000 years ago within the soil surrounding the mausoleum, a chemical also found beneath Teotihuacan, which we feel further supports our suspicions that this site, along with these incredible warriors, is far older and incredibly more advanced than currently attested, and is actually indicative of lost technology left by a now lost civilization. Who actually created the terracotta warriors? Who do they actually depict? Why are they so tall? Who built the complex underground layer, now conveniently shut off, never publicly explored, left triggered with advanced booby trapping? What is within? What are these booby traps protecting? It is a sight we find incredibly compelling. Throughout history, a vast array of individuals who, for whatever reason, became figures idolized by their civilizations. Some even seen as godly-like figures, sentient, divine beings, whom, upon their passage into the next life, were believed to live on, often as deities, according to New World history. The most academically funded research practices in said preparations into the afterlife is undoubtedly that of the mummies found within ancient Egypt. The Valley of the Kings, impressive
Anyone ever heard of the mud mud fossil theory? Let's see. Because this guy has been talking about this for years. Who knows if he's right? Since there is petrified stuff all over the earth. So, for example, these statues, they may be petrified beings, apparently. Or these huge trees, they're like leftovers. I'm not sure about it. So what is true is that the rock are alive, apparently. Let's see if I can find some. If I have the video somewhere here. Oh, that's so much stuff. There used to be more videos about this before. That all disappeared. Can't find it. Pretty sure I had it somewhere here. Should be in here. What's this one? I think this is
So, what is biogeology?
It's a paradigm-shattering revelation, and everything that we know about geology and the layers of strata and the timeline of when things happened, all of that has to be revisited and revamped because it's based on erroneous thinking.
This is an open source investigation. You need people to participate by comparing more results and conclusions, because it's always good to question what you've been told, especially now.
so like when you see these things, you wonder like how did this grow to how it is. They would say it's erosion, wind, or water over millions of years. Hell, I don't know. What do you think?
Now, thanks to all the people sharing on the internet and social media, we can see far too many correlations to just keep dismissing them as coincidences.
My theory is that when you find iron ore, and especially when it's attached to limestone, that what we're looking at is the red blood that is rich in hemoglobin, which contains iron. That's the
So apparently there's biology, the rocks.
The symmetry, along with the proportional precision present within their statues, is not only perfection personified, but unquestionably far too advanced for the so-called academically claimed builders to have achieved. According to the academics, along with their subsequent supposed accurate writings, these extraordinary feats of artistic perfection were somehow created by a group of individuals who were merely equipped with copper tools. Not only is this claim clearly ignorant of reality, but to create such works of symmetrical accuracy was unquestionably the work of a group of individuals far more advanced than even that of the Victorians, let alone those who thrived along the banks of the Nile more than 3,000 years ago. Not only is this precision present along the Giza Plateau, but it is also found at ancient sites all around the world. Masterfully created statues and structures, often carved straight out of stone bedrock, with such vision and artistic prowess that many now presume that the individuals capable of such feats must have had advanced machinery at their disposal. Most of ancient India, for example, is created with such delicacy and exactness that we today could only accomplish the same with the utilization of modern machines. Furthermore, many scholars and independent researchers, even a number of highly recognized academic Egyptologists, have reluctantly concluded that many of the basalt, gypsum, and other vases shaped from extremely hard stones, and indeed a number of multi-ton sarcophagus lids, were indeed turned into the shapes we see them as today, on some kind of ancient, enormous lathe. This conclusion is made regardless of the fact that to create such enormous stoneworks on a lathe would have undoubtedly been out of the realms of capabilities for those who are currently claimed as their creators. Not only do the ornamental artifacts of Egypt and much further afield strongly indicate machined working, but there is also overwhelming evidence of these same machines reminiscent of modern stone-cutting equipment present all over the world. Yet, conveniently, it is quietly ignored by the same individuals who have supposedly unraveled the history of these sites. Pumapunku, Giza's basalt floor, other areas throughout Giza, Peru, Malta, the list goes on. All these sites not only indicate an advanced, highly capable constructor, but also possess countless marks that, as of yet, we can only explain logically as having been left by precision, quick rotation, stone-cutting machinery. They are yet another overwhelming collection of evidence, which not only flies in the face of current academic explanation, but proof of an advanced, now lost civilization, having once been responsible for these sites' construction. They are highly compelling. A number of people who frequent our work have requested a more detailed video regarding one of the mysteries we so often focus upon here on the channel. There are many sites that we feel are deserving of in-depth focus. Our mission has always been to enlighten those who may not have been aware of the many different, compelling, and often controversial realities surrounding countless ancient ruins that throughout their lives have been explained away with a lie. Undoubtedly, the most well-known, most commonly explored, and thus the ruin most suited for our viewers' acquirement of a knowledge armory is Giza. Indeed, there are many people you will meet throughout your life that will have delved into the mysteries of Egypt. However, this experience, unbeknownst to them, may have been fraught with a limited, illogical, academic account regarding the history of Giza's plateau. This video, then, is our gift to our viewer, to prove to all those who act like they know it all how little they actually do. The characteristics of the casing stones are undoubtedly one of our own most noted achievements. We feel little, if any, notice has been given to the facts we have realized regarding these stones, yet the evidence we have found will remain clear for all to see. These casing stones, although of an enormous size, and as such were left by a lost civilization, are far younger than the sandstone in which they encase. Most of these casing stones, unfortunately robbed out during invasions within the last few centuries, are protecting stones which are actually far more eroded and thus far older beneath. However, additionally, we began to wonder just how old could the Great Pyramids be? Could these eroding sandstones actually be concealing a far larger, far older structure beneath? Also discovered here on our channel, the supporting evidence to this hypothesis.
A bunch of dead jellyfish.
That can be fake pretty easily. But I've heard a lot of videos with those sounds. Maybe some are real, some are fake. It's definitely some are fake.
Que reciben toda la energía cósmica y a través de la mano están introduciendo esa información y está recorriendo a la Pachamama.
Two types of energy, male and female. They are getting all the information. They're going through that stuff through the Mother Earth or Pachamama.
Están recibiendo la llave para que esta persona pueda entrar en esa puerta interestelar.
They are receiving the key so this person can go and be able to access to this cosmic door.
Esta es quizá.
Look at the precision. Look at this. This is clean cut. I'm just gonna. You wanna get up? So yeah, I've studied architecture, and this kind of work is unbelievable. And why there? What's so special about that piece of work? It's clearly a false door. What are false doors, if not interdimensional doors? Who knows?
Years, is the oldest ruin on Earth. The archaeologists discovered an alignment with the solstices and spring equinox, which only occurred around 17,000 years ago. However, there are many other intriguing areas of interest yet to be fully understood. Along with the volumes of photographic documentations of precise measurements, independent researchers also discovered that the
Look at those all. What are they? Why are they there? To look like functional. totally. But who knows?
Site's gray stonework also possesses a curious magnetic property. The question is, if these ancient people knew of this interesting characteristic, what was the purpose of using said stone? Was the stone slowly magnetized by a technology once present at the site, now lost to history? Along with the gray stone, however, the site also contains an equal amount of red sandstone, which was used to build the site, yet this red stone does not share the enigmatic magnetism of its gray counterpart. Perhaps the sandstone is somehow immune to what was responsible. Perhaps this is why the Great Pyramids were built from sandstone, to avoid the masonry taking on this magnetic charge. Perhaps, but I digress. Pumapunku is what we like to call a smoking gun, a site which clearly displays masonry skills of its ancient constructor, precision-cut stone masonry, which today could only be achieved with the use of advanced stone-cutting machinery. Shrouded in mystery, the archaeological side of Pumapunku is one of the biggest headaches for mainstream archaeology to explain. So how would an ancient culture, one which was far less capable than modern man, cut, shape, and transport from many miles away carvings out of some of the world's toughest stone, accomplished with such incredible precision? A group able to transport blocks of stone, sometimes weighing far more than 50 tons to the site, effortlessly placing them in position, often using a placement technique indicative of polygonal methodology. Interestingly, after investigating possible causes for this characteristic, it was realized that the building material was not granite, as it had long been assumed, but was in fact andesite. Andesite is the most iron-rich volcanic material we are aware of. It can contain around 15% iron oxide and can have up to 4% magnetite. Thus, the stone, it seems, could have already been displaying magnetic characteristics when placed where it now lay. Yet the question still persists. Why did this stone get selected as the building material for the temple? It was built by a civilization that brought the stone from many miles away, so the suggestion that it was the only stone available would not be a logical conclusion. It was chosen by a group who were seemingly meticulous in their application. So it is quite possible that the magnetic characteristic was somehow utilized by the builders. Thankfully, it is only a matter of time before Pumapunku's secrets are fully understood, and we finally discover who built it. It is a place we find highly compelling. Although the Olmec culture has been historically established as having flourished within the now dense jungles of Guatemala, there also exists many pre-Olmec ruins and artifacts that are still baffling researchers and historians alike. The Great Head of Guatemala being one of the most controversial of all. This enormous stone face indicates that not only the Olmecs, or indeed native Hispanic race, once called Guatemala home. A gigantic, masterfully carved stone head, with a face of fine features, thin lips, and large nose, once engulfed in millennia of vegetation, directed to the sky as if in eternal prayer. The discovery, unsurprisingly, attracted a lot of attention, yet just as predictably, due to its unquestioned controversy, quickly slipped into the pages of forgotten history. The initial discovery first emerged when Dr. Oscar Rafael Padilla Lara, a doctor of philosophy, lawyer, and notary, received a photograph of the head in 1987. Along with a vague description, it stated that the photograph was taken in the 1950s by the owner of the land, and that it was located, quote, somewhere in the jungles of Guatemala. The site was later established to have been 10 kilometers from a small village in the south of Guatemala. However, when Dr. Padilla managed to travel to the site, a short while after the discovery had been widely circulated throughout the country, he found that the site, along with the Caucasian-featured stone face, had been obliterated. He stated, quote, "It was destroyed by revolutionaries about 10 years ago. We had located the statue too late. It was used as target practice by rebels. This totally disfigured it, sort of like the way the Sphinx in Egypt had its nose shot off by the Turks, only worse. The eyes, nose, and mouth had been completely destroyed." End quote. The Dio was able to measure its height as having been between 4 and 6 meters. Although, predictably, the stone head had been destroyed due to its controversial nature, it may still shine light on who was flourishing in the jungles, far before any Olmec had ever stepped foot there. Additionally, and fortunately,
those faces look angry. The Olmec face. Some people say they have African, features. I'm Latino, so I can tell that there's some Latinos that do have those faces. Doesn't mean they are from Africa. They do look, African, but they don't. But I've known some, for example, Latinos, those kind of faces.
But it's best to turn backwards. Okay. We're going to approach the room. It has the famous Dendera light bulbs. Whether they were light bulbs or not, of course, is completely up to conjecture. They do look like light bulbs, but were they that, or were they lotus bulbs, or what? Here they are. So 2 on this side, 2 on that side.
Yeah.
And also some say that this is depicting a giant holding up the bulb. As you can see, he's a lot bigger than the person kneeling. And then some also say this, which is called the Jed pillar, is actually a kind of insulator, as in terms of electricity, or capacitor or something, or insulator protecting the energy from arcing to the ground. Whether that's the case or not, I don't know. So there are 2 on this side, and then these 2 as well. And then Stephen Mailer told me that this figure you see, which is part human and part baboon, is holding 2 knives, and that could be the choice between the positive and the negative, or good and evil. At least that was his interpretation of it. Or beware of what you do with something like technology. It can be used for good, or it can be used for bad. Okay. Also, another thing to notice is this piece of stone here is limestone. And you see the fineness of the hieroglyphics as compared to the stones above. So that means that this was taken from an older temple and put into place here. And the only access to this was by the priesthood. The general public were never allowed in a space like that. And that's why it was done underground, because you have to go through a trap door to get to it, and you have to get past the guards to get to it. So this was a very sacred dynastic place.
Oops, sorry.
Okay, still at Dendara, Hathor Temple. Now we're going to go up a staircase, which some believe has been melted with heat, and others say it's simply wear and tear after probably 2,000 plus years. So you have to make up your mind.
That is not wear and tear. This is definitely melted.
As to what you're seeing. I personally don't believe in the melted staircase theory. Thank you. Very smooth, and again, likely the result of thousands, if not millions of people over the course of time working their way up. So honestly, I think a lot of those people who have made videos stating that the staircase was melted have in fact never been here. And the wear is more in the center than it is on the sides. And most people, of course, would tend to go to the center for climbing up or down.
Just for a second.
Maybe he's right. Maybe it's just wear and tear. Some of it too melted though. Just saying.
Pero si juntamos el pasado con el futuro, daría el presente.
If we connect the past and the future, we have the present.
Muchas veces, o muchos de nosotros, nos perdemos tanto en el pasado como en el futuro.
Some of us, or most of us, we get lost, either in the past or getting towards the future.
Y no vivimos el presente.
And we don't live the present.
Entonces, ñaupa vendría a ser el presente, el ahora.
In this case, ñaupa will be the present, now.
Quizás el otro nombre es choqueilla.
Maybe the other name would be choqueilla.
Choque quiere decir amanecer, la luz del amanecer.
Choque means the sunrise, the light of the sunrise.
Illa también es un templo.
Illa means temple.
Solamente para poder explicar un poquito,
just for reference purposes,
este es el útero de la madre.
This will be the uterus of the mother.
Cuando el...
Look at this. This looks like something broken. Like this used to be bigger. There's a piece missing. Many pieces. It's weird. It was very precise, the cutting. Always 3 stairs.
El sol nace en el este.
When the sun rises from the east,
todavía esta parte está oscura.
This side will still be dark.
Los primeros rayos de luz
the first sunrise
va a penetrar a la mano. Here, this is clearly incoming. You can see the mortar between the rocks. It's incoming.
Madre.
And this is pre-Inca.
Va a fertilizar a la madre.
The first lights of the sunrise will fertilize and penetrate the mother.
Estamos hablando de esa dualidad, de esas dos energías, tanto masculino y femenino.
We're talking about that duality, male and female.
Entonces, todos los lugares sagrados están dedicados a la fertilidad, al renacimiento.
So all these sacred places are pretty much dedicated to reborn.
El corazón y el
Working the
vientre
heart
para entrar en la Pachamama.
and the abdomen so we can get into the Pachamama.
Esta quizás es una de las formas para recibir la llave y poder abrir esa puerta.
So this will be one of the ways to receive the key so we'll be able to open that gate.
Entonces, siempre dos.
So you can see there's a piece missing. It used to be taller. Way taller. Something broke it. Someone broke it.
Dualidad, dos energías.
Always two energies, male and female, the duality.
Una vez que esta persona haya recibido la llave, va a poder abrir esa puerta.
Gets the key, she will be able to open the gate.
Y hacer su proceso evolutivo para reconectarse o reencontrarse con el universo cósmico.
And start the evolutionary process to encounter or re-encounter with the original cosmos.
Hey guys, today I'm going to show you carvings like this. Yes, it looks like a human frog or a frogman. All these carvings I'm showing you today are from the 900-year-old Chennakesava temple. So you can understand why I'm calling this the frogman because of how it is sitting, right? And its eyes are quite big like that of a frog. But other than that, it is clearly wearing shoes and clothes, which makes me wonder, was it a genetically modified human like Spider-Man? Did ancient people experiment with genetic modification? Here's another strange one hiding in an inaccessible location. The body is definitely human, but what about the face? What animal is this? It clearly looks like a sheep or a goat, but the hairdo is very similar to the hairdo of the women shown in the other carvings of this temple. By looking at the body, we can clearly understand that this is a female and she's holding some strange pointy things in both her hands. So why did ancient builders carve these strange figures in this ancient temple? Most historians agree that sculptors carved what they saw. When they look at a beautiful carving like this, they say, oh, the sculptor must have seen a woman in this dancing posture. That's why he carved it. So, did the sculptors also see these genetically modified figures in ancient times? Did ancient builders know about genetic engineering? In this temple, unlike any other temple, there's a big corner dedicated to the Nagas, the serpentine gods. This whole area is full of Naga carvings. In the center, there is a giant female Naga with a 7-headed snake guarding her from the top. Locals are still worshipping her with flowers and saffron powder. Why? Because Naga is a symbol of fertility. Women without children come and worship the Nagas and hope the Naga will bless them with babies. And what's really interesting is that the entire wall is full of carvings reminding us of DNA strands because these intertwined Nagas look very
this symbol right here. This is one of the oldest symbols in the entire world. That's why they use it in medicine. Supposedly represents our DNA.
Is similar to the double helix structure of the DNA strands. And here you can see a bunch of sperms swimming, racing to fertilize the ovum to create more life. Is this all just a coincidence, or did ancient builders experiment with genetic modification? Here is a Naga figure holding a human in her lap. No, she's not holding a baby. She's holding a grown woman. Look at the fully grown breasts on that woman. And the Naga with her hood behind her head is shown much larger, holding the woman in her lap. Does it have anything to do with aliens interbreeding with humans? Or did ancient builders experiment with a mix of different species? Is this why they showed intertwining of various species? Behind this carving is another very strange carving. A man with a horse face is interacting with a woman. This sounds really interesting because so far we saw the frogman and the goat woman just being alone. But now we can see this horse-faced man with a human female. Sorry about my shaky video. These weird figures are mostly carved in inaccessible locations, so I'm struggling to show them to you. Now, this is not the only horse-faced figure. There's a female with a horse face standing close to a man. It's safe to say that they're not just friends. And this carving is in a much more accessible location, so you cannot miss it. So if you visit this place, the tour guide will tell you that this carving was made to show you that love is blind. And when you're young, even a girl with a horse face will look attractive to you. But this theory is wrong. First, because look at her genitalia. It does not look like a woman's. It looks quite different from normal female genitalia. And two, because there are many statues which are standing alone, even horse-faced statues standing alone. The tour guides are spinning these theories because they don't know what is going on. Now, here's a figure that is much more human-like, but it is not fully human. Looks like a messed up genetic experiment between a human and some other ape like a gorilla. I say this because its arms are very long. The arms extend beyond the knees. Its head is kind of deformed with no hair on the head. And it has a very big, strong chest like a gorilla. And we know in the last 100 years, many countries have secretly tested human-ape hybrids. We have all heard of human Z, a hybrid of human and chimpanzee. And even though no government has openly admitted to this, many leaks confirm that several countries have tested these human-ape hybrids. Scientists confirm that humans are a little bit hybrid already. We have 2 to 3% of Neanderthal DNA in all of us. But the question is, did ancient civilizations also test other hybrids? Why else do we see such carvings of humans and animals combined? Here's another one that is completely mind-boggling. On the left, there is a very weak figure. You can see all his ribs as though he's ready to die. There's a tube going from this man's head onto this woman's thigh. It seems like the tube is sucking out all the blood from his body. He looks very skinny and completely emaciated. On the other side, this guy looks even more weird, wearing a long checkered coat. He's wearing boots too. So, how did these ancient astronauts look? Here, you can see them. Yes. Hey guys, in this video, I will show you solid evidence of ancient astronauts in Indonesia. There is a secret carving kept behind locked doors. This carving clearly shows a male organ entering a female organ. There is no doubt about this, but where is such a carving found? More importantly, why is it locked? Why is it forbidden to go and touch it? Luckily, on the other side, the latch has gotten busted. So let's go inside and take a closer look. This is found in an ancient temple called Candi Suku in Indonesia. The female part is carved in a very detailed fashion. The anatomical accuracy is stunning. There is an opening carved in the center, and we can see the flaps or labia on both sides. But there are strange details that cannot be explained. Look on this side, you can see 3 string-like projections. What is that? You may think this is just a mistake, but no, you can see the exact same detail carved on this side of the female organ as well. This is just bizarre because we cannot see such a detail in the human anatomy. Human females do not have these extensions on their bodies. So why does this carving show such a detail? But there is another strange detail carved here. You see the string that is carved around? Take a moment to think about what it could be. Archaeologists and historians of Indonesia have simply dismissed it as a garland of flowers or a wreath placed for decoration. But this shows the umbilical cord. This is not a garland or a wreath. This shows the result of what happens after the union of masculine and feminine energy. The twists or the knots in the carving clearly prove that this is an umbilical cord. Hindus believe that each twist in the umbilical cord is formed during each month of pregnancy. A human baby would be delivered after 10 lunar months. So the human umbilical cord was believed to have 10 twists. But there is a strange twist in this carving. Let's count the number of twists. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. Yes, there are a total of 11 twists, meaning that the baby was in the womb for 11 months, unlike regular human beings. Was it human? Where is the baby that was cut from this umbilical cord? Did ancient builders carve the baby in the same temple? Right next to the locked door on the wall, we can see this weird carving. Let's take a closer look. Is that a baby crawling on the floor? I've not seen such a carving in my life. The face looks different. Its head seems to be unusually large, and its fingers and toes seem to be elongated. But the most important detail is on the top. Can you guess what this is? Take a good look and think about it. What is this? It's the placenta. The placenta is the organ that develops in the uterus during pregnancy. It provides oxygen and nutrients to the baby through the umbilical cord. when the baby is born, the placenta also comes out in bits and pieces. Interestingly, the placenta is carved in other ancient sites, including pyramids of Egypt. But why is it carved in this temple? But is this also a pyramid? Where do we see these carvings? All these carvings are found inside and on the walls of this pyramid-like structure. Is this ancient site in Indonesia somehow connected to the ancient pyramids of Egypt? Or are they linked to Mayan pyramids in Mexico? Now, you may look at the structure and say, Praveen, this is not a pyramid. This is just a small covered entrance to the temple complex. We know Indonesia is thousands of miles away from Egypt and Mexico, and Indonesians did not build pyramids. You're just connecting this entranceway with ancient pyramids to spice up the video, right? No. Let's take a look at the main temple here. The main temple of the Candi Suku complex is this. Yes, it is a pyramid. I know we are in a remote hill in Indonesia, which is thousands of miles away from Egyptian and Mayan pyramids, but yet we see a perfectly built pyramid here. If you compare this pyramid with the Mayan pyramid of Chichen Itza in Mexico, you will be absolutely convinced that these two pyramids were built by the same builders. Both pyramids are built with 4 sides or facets, and they both have a flat area at the top used for a specific purpose during ancient times. But let's climb this pyramid and see what's up there. Maybe we can find some clue at the top. I know you are wondering about this weird piece of cloth on my hip. I never wear things like this, but just before I entered the temple, locals made me cover my waist. I tried to put it on like a scarf, but I was told that every visitor has to absolutely cover his private parts before entering the temple. Why? You will soon find out. At the top, you may think there is nothing but an empty square in the center. But look carefully, you can see a bunch of incense sticks, ashes, and flowers here, meaning people still offer prayers here. Why? Today it's empty, but what was originally found here contains the answer to all our questions. This stone statue was the only object found on top of this pyramid. And it is so shocking that it is now being stored in the warehouse of the National Museum of Indonesia. It is a giant 6-foot-tall lingam, but it's not the size that made archaeologists move it to a safe house. It is the strange and shocking features. It is carved with 4 testicles attached to it. Unlike other lingams, it is carved to look explicitly like a phallus. It even has a vein carved on it, hiding a cryptic inscription. But why is it carved with 4 testicles? Humans only have 2 testicles, so why did ancient builders carve something superhuman? But is it possible that we are misunderstanding this carving? Maybe this is not a phallus, and maybe these are not 4 testicles. Maybe the sculptor was trying to show something else, right? No, look at this statue at the base of the pyramid. Observe very carefully. He is clearly shown with 4 testicles, 2 at the top and 2 at the bottom. There is no doubt about this. From the side view, it is clear that this is a testicle. See how round it is? So the sculptor is clearly depicting a four-testicled being. This cannot be human. So we have to question if he is an alien. But how did his face look? Above, we can see something shocking. His head has been intentionally chopped off. Archaeologists are still searching for this missing head because it is a very important part of the puzzle. But who destroyed the head and why? There is a very interesting story about this. In 1815, a British officer by the name of Johnson was trying to map out all the ancient sites in this area. While locals helped him locate other temples, they never spoke about this temple, even though they knew about it. Apparently, locals were forbidden not only from visiting this temple, but were also forbidden to even mention its name. Upon, quote-unquote, discovering this temple, Johnson immediately informed other British archaeologists, and when they came here, they were shell-shocked. Why? Because they had never seen any ancient site that had been deliberately destroyed to this extent. According to reports, almost all the statues were intentionally damaged to make sure they cannot be recognized in the future. The heads of most statues were completely cut off. This is why British archaeologists immediately moved the 6-foot-tall lingam to a museum far away because they were afraid that the locals would come here and destroy that too. This is the same reason why this carving is also kept locked, because locals may still destroy it. But experts found something even more strange. The destroyers not only cut off the body parts of the statues, they also buried some of the parts underground. Why? This was done to make sure that nobody would come in the future and piece them together. However, archaeologists were able to unearth some parts and then piece them with the remaining parts above the ground. Here is one such carving. Again, you can see the key detail here. It has 4 testicles, not 2 testicles like humans. But how does the face look? It is shown with a thick, round helmet like a modern-day astronaut. We cannot see this ancient astronaut's face because of the helmet. And look carefully, he is shown with heavy boots, again, like modern astronauts. Is it possible that the sculptor was trying to show ancient astronauts landing here? What we find nearby confirms this. Look at how humans and animals are all watching him in awe as the astronaut arrives on Earth. Every human and animal is shown watching him, indicating that this was a new, important event for our civilization. But what amplifies the mystery is not the details on this carving. It is the color of these stone blocks. Look at the difference in color. The first block and the third block are darker, while the second and the fourth block are light in color. Why? Because whoever destroyed this temple took the head part and the testicles block and buried them underground, while leaving these 2 blocks above the ground. The parts buried underground slowly changed color. This is why these 2 blocks are of a different color. Think about it. If you want to make a jigsaw puzzle useless, just take some parts of the puzzle and throw them away so nobody can put it together and see the full picture. Whoever destroyed this temple had the same idea. They did not want us to see the full picture of an astronaut landing with helmet and boots. And there's still 1 or 2 blocks missing in between. Who built an ancient pyramid in Indonesia? And why is it so similar to Mayan pyramids? Why were the locals forbidden from visiting this temple and were told not even to whisper its name? Why did they cut off the heads and destroy these stone statues? Why did they not want the future generations to see their faces? Why did they bury some parts of the statues to make sure we cannot see the full picture? Why do we see details that do not match with human anatomy? More importantly, why do we see an astronaut with a helmet and boots?
My question is, how do you get that thing inside a woman? Two testicles at the top. Ain't that gonna hurt? Doesn't make sense. And why for? Or do they just get it out in? I don't know. Anyways, I'm tired. I should go to sleep. It's 4:20 where I am. Took me a while to set up this broadcast. That's why I did it late. I'll be back. Try to do the broadcast every night. I don't care if anybody, if no one is watching. Alright. Good night to anyone who's watching this. I hope you had a nice Christmas. Thank you for watching.